Hello and welcome to the AVRUM Rosenzweig Show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the show. My name is Avram Rosenzweig, and I'm delighted to be here today. I very often at the top of my show, I like to encourage people to listen for something specific in my interviews. In this case, my upcoming interview with Sue William Silverman. Welcome to the show, Sue. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me. And I
Abs-
love that intro. That's very dramatic.
Isn't that something? It's epic, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know. I should be carrying like Moses' stick or something.
yeah, totally.
I know a lot of writers. And writers are nuts. They're nuts because of what they choose to do. Look, I know people have written books that have taken them 8 years. Okay. And that's sitting down almost every day, sometimes for 8 hours and writing. It's tenacity at its very best. But it's a craziness because it's very isolating, right? So there's kind of a juxtaposition of life. Oh, I get to express myself through my words. There's nothing greater than that to a writer, but I'm also by myself a lot. So there's a lot of thinking that goes on. There's a lot of self sort of encouragement that happens. What I would suggest really strongly is throughout this interview, listen really closely to how Sue William Silverman has survived as a writer and written many books and done so for a number of years, even though she's only 29.
A few years ago.
I'm trying to ingratiate myself to you. Um,
You're doing a good job.
thank you, dear. Thank you. Thank you. So here we go. Let me formally introduce my guest, Sue William Silverman. I'm going to do something which is a bit unusual. I'm actually going to read word for word, verbatim, an introduction that you have on your website about your most current book. And it goes like this. And I like it because it's so well written. The essays in selected misdemeanors are unapologetic word grenades lobbed into an otherwise complacent forgetfulness. Throughout the collection, Sue William Silverman focuses on pivotal, often fleeting moments that define the course of her life, such as fraught family vacation, an evening watching the Chippendale dancers, and who doesn't like that? Extravaganza, a Pac-Man-and-bourbon-fueled rumination on failed relationships. Who doesn't like that? And the way melodramatic movies such as Rome Adventure shape an adolescent's idea of love. Ranging from short to flash to micro length, these emotionally courageous writings imbue minimalist forms with maximalist emotions and unrepentant, no holds barred attitude. Each action explored in this collection produces the butterfly effect, seemingly quotidian events rippling into emotional tsunamis. What is that quotidian? What does that mean?
It means sort of like ordinary, everyday. Yeah. So sort of like a lot of the essays are seemingly about kind of everyday short little snippets of life, but the thing about Flash is that the form is small,
Yeah.
but the inside is vast, and so, you have to deepen the message. It can't just be like some anecdote like "This happened to me." Each essay really, has to have some metaphoric value to it so that it conveys, like, the human experience.
When you use the word quotidian, do you know that word?
Yeah.
So it just popped into your head.
Well, what you just read is not like a first draft.
Mm.
I mean, everything I write, is like at least 10 million drafts. So, so over time, yes, it seemed to resonate with this book in that, um, I've written like some long memoirs and, say 250 pages or so, which can have sort of dramatic storylines or narratives. And in a flash essay, you don't have room for that big, vast landscape. You have to keep it very focused and tight in order to sort of get to what the human condition is. And so some of the moments, like one of the essays is about how I'm obsessed, or when I was a little kid, I was obsessed with the color of creme de menthe, that liqueur, that emerald green thing, liqueur. And you can say, "Ah, so what? You know, that's like not an essay. So you were obsessed with that color." So the fact of the matter is that as a little girl, grew up in the West Indies. My parents would have these parties, and I would sort of eavesdrop, or sort of like, spy on these parties. And I wasn't really that interested in the people, but I was absolutely fascinated by these beautiful long stem liqueur glasses with this beautiful liqueur in it. And so I started writing about it, and I thought, well, sort of who cares really? But then the more I wrote, the more I came to understand that the essay really is about sort of the ephemeralness of beauty,
Mhm.
and how you can find something beautiful in just like this sort of fleeting moment of a party and this beautiful color of green. And um, so that's really kind of what I'm getting at. And some of the essays have more drama in them than that, but
Yes.
that's an example of one of the more sort of quotidian, ordinary events of life. So somebody drinks a liqueur, I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with the color. And but you don't get there unless you write. I mean, that's why you write, is that if I just sit around thinking about, "Oh, yeah, I like the color of creme de menthe," it's like a real "so what?" But it's the writing process where you keep digging deeper and deeper, and, sort of like almost like peeling an onion,
Yeah.
going into the core of something to understand, well, what did that really mean? Because I spent a lot of time sort of, spying on my parents' party, and for some reason, the creme de menthe really resonated with me. So it's really like that peeling of an onion to understand the depth of the obsession.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense what you're saying. You were quoted as saying in another interview that kind of life is all those things that happen, the small things that happen in between the big events. And I thought, Sue, that was very poignant because I think that way myself. So when I am stopping at an expressway red light, I will look to the right in this particular space. I'll look down and I'll see a blade of grass, and I'll really contemplate on that blade of grass, thinking things like, and this is only for a snippet, it's a flash of a light that I have to stop, is like, well, who else has actually looked at that blade of grass? What's its essence in life, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. I love what you just said, because that I mean, that's a quotidian moment. There
That's
there you
quotidian,
go.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
is.
is quotidian. I felt that, yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. I mean, most writers, I think initially, and certainly myself included, we tend to first write like these long, say 250 or so page memoirs about, oh, the big topics like unhappy childhoods, recovering from addiction, loss of a loved one, illness, something like that. And those big moments are important, of course, and we want to write about them. But how much time do they really take up? It's really all the rest of the time is a lot of time. And so this book, Selected Misdemeanours, there's 71 essays in it. So there's 71 of these sort of obsessive but smaller moments that kind of took place uh, in between these sort of bigger life events. And we really have a lot to learn, I think, about life and the human condition by really focusing on these smaller moments, particularly since it really is most of our lives.
Yes, good point. When I was littler, my sister came into my room and put her arm on a bookshelf that was loose and happened to be holding minnows in a bottle that a fish just gave birth to. Well, they splattered all over the floor, and that was pretty much the end of them. It's hard to rescue centimeter long fish. And I was devastated by it, and I was obsessed by it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And later on in life, I realized it was it was the quandary of life and death. Now you write a flash piece about the death of a goldfish.
Yes. So, and in fact, I just have to. So, here on the cover is a goldfish, but
Yes.
very sadly, he is belly up. And so again, so if goldfish dies, on the face of it, so what? But the essay itself actually is about so, I have a boyfriend at the time. He doesn't really love me the way I should be loved. And he goes off to boot camp. It's during Vietnam. He's off at boot camp. While he's gone, to sort of uh, make myself feel not as lonely, I do two things. One is that I have an affair with his roommate, which is one of my misdemeanors. The book is Selected Misdemeanors.
Yeah.
That's one of my misdemeanors. The second is that I buy this goldfish for company, and then the roommate breaks up with me. So I'm so distraught, I forget to feed the goldfish, and he dies. Another misdemeanor,
Really.
and I feel really bad about this poor little goldfish. But but the way I have to write the essay, which I didn't understand until, like, 20 drafts in, is that it's not just the death of a goldfish. The goldfish then becomes a metaphor because of the way, within the context of this essay and the way I describe it, the goldfish becomes a metaphor, not just the fact that he died, but really for loss, alienation, this loss of a loved one. So the goldfish becomes more than just a goldfish. We want to find the metaphors in our work. And in long books, I mean, in creative nonfiction, metaphor is always important in anything you write. In a long work, a long memoir, you have, let's say, 250 pages to really engage the reader. In a flash piece, which is short, let's say 750 words to maybe 1,500 words, something like that,
Or a paragraph.
or a paragraph, right? Some of my essays are paragraphs. Um, you have to really get the reader uh, engaged in your story quickly and metaphorically so that something resonates with the reader so that they'll remember the essay and be able to relate to it. So therefore, in this essay, this poor little goldfish is a metaphor.
Did it have a name, the goldfish? Do you remember?
It did. Yes. Oh, I totally remember. His name was Freddie.
Freddie. Yeah, Freddie's die hard, don't they? When I was reading many of your essays, there was a point where I really didn't like you too much because you screwed around on your boyfriend who was going off to fight for democracy. And then I reminded myself, wait a second, Avram, you did the same thing. And I see myself as a decent human being. But you reminded me, Sue, that humanness is foibles. And it's also the beauty of character. And if everybody were to write a book like you did, 71 flash pieces, and they were honest about it and they were straightforward about who they were, then we would read a lot about people that at first blush, doesn't sit well with us. But then we remember that's who I am too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we all have our misdemeanors, and it's important to give some motivation. And just quickly, very opening line of the first essay does that. So the very first line is okay, the essay is at the Apollo Theater. And the first line is, "My father sexually misloved me growing up, but that's another story."
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and so this essay itself is really not about my father, but it sets up the whole book, is that everything that I do, all of my misdemeanors in some way arise from sort of my core story. And I don't ha there are other references to my father in this book, but my first memoir is, Because I Remember Terror, Father, I Remember You. So that's a whole memoir about growing up in this family. But if, but there's a reason why that essay became the first essay in the book, because it has to set up, why does this narrator sue? Where do all this, well, where do these misdemeanors come from? So that's how hopefully I can try to show empathy for myself, but for so that there's a reason the reader can understand, like, the motivation for these things. But yes, but writing creative nonfiction, you have to be hard on yourself. You have to be honest. You have to show yourself, doing things that I don't myself don't approve of,
Yes.
but I did it out of real loneliness. I was always looking for, uh, love. I mean, so the theme of the whole book as a whole is the narrator is searching for a sense of home, comfort, and safety. That's sort of the arc of the journey. That's what she's searching for. But at the same time, there's this conflict because the emotional misdemeanors sort of thwart what she's trying to achieve. She wants this one thing, she wants this home, but she has trouble reaching that place because of the bad choices she makes, the mistakes that she makes. So that's sort of the conflict, how these misdemeanors sort of sabotage her attempts to find this sense of home.
So it's interesting that you speak in terms of choices that you've made, yet you leave out the things that were imposed upon you. In that first line at the Apollo Theater, again, you read it very eloquently. You wrote, "My father sexually misloved me growing up, but that's another story." In essence, you were saying your father abused you.
Yes. And it's really, a lot of people have asked me about that word mislove,
Yes.
and, because it's sort of an interesting choice, I guess, but I think it's more accurate in many ways because my father did love me. He did not know how to show it,
Mhm,
of
mhm.
course, at all, in a healthy, appropriate way, but so it is a form of being misloved, and the word abuse has just been thrown around so much that it's sort of lost its sort of it's just like, I don't know, it's become almost too generic in a way, and I wanted to be more specific, being a writer, I wanted to find a more specific word, and to me, that word is more specific, and, later on in the book, there are a few more details about what actually happened, but for now, to start off the book, that's sort of all you need to know. It's like I don't have to dump everything, like, right away, just know he misloved me, and that's the attraction to that essay is about this sort of obsession that I, as a little kid, had with this, kind of magician, and, maybe he could abracadabra me into another little girl who, had another father, something like that, and uh, so I think it's a matter of kind of giving the reader the information they need to know when they need to know it.
There's a number of things that happen to young girls who are abused by their father, one of which is a profound betrayal of trust, another which is complex emotional impact that it has upon them, long-term psychological effects. This trauma can manifest in depression, anxiety, PTSD, and so on. Challenges with family dynamics, possibility of healing. It's very difficult for many, many young people. At this stage of your life, have you embraced yourself? Do you love yourself
Oh, on a good day, I mean,
on a sunny day?
yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, s I've let me say I've accepted myself, which is maybe more important, um, that, because I can still make bad choices and mess things up, but, um but I'm very aware of it, and so I also know when to, uh, kinda pull back and apologize and say, "Oh, sorry." Um, so I've embraced myself, maybe sort of, but I really do accept who I am and that, um, I feel that I really embrace myself as a writer, that I have found a way to navigate my way in the world, and I teach as well. I teach in a Master of Fine Arts degree program, MFA program, which is very meaningful to me. So I I I it's so hard to say, do I embrace myself? Because it's like,
Well, let me
uh,
ask you, Sue. Are you lovable?
uh, I think I can be, yes. I
Mhm.
mean, I think there are people who love me. My students love me, they really do, and that's just like, oh, that's so sweet. And, and I have a partner who loves me, who understands me. Um, and so, y and I do have some friends. I don't have a lot of friends because but, mainly because for one thing, I sit inside my house a lot writing, and where do I meet people?
The
But
isolationist aspect
yeah,
of it, yes.
that you mentioned, yeah. But people do, yes, some people do love me,
Well, I think you
which makes me blush. I mean, I'm sorry. It's like
why does it make you blush?
because it's hard to. I think it's still hard for me to accept compliments, and it's hard for me to believe that people could love me because I think I went for so long feeling like I was a misdemeanor, not selected, but
Yeah,
a
right.
misdemeanor.
Are
Yeah.
are are you huggable? Are you tactile?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are. Do you find that strange that you are?
Yeah. I mean, it took me a long time to understand what a hug meant
Yes.
because I had one therapist who he was a really good person. He was trying hard, but this was before I was diagnosed with like this love addiction thing and and how that sort of played into sex and everything. And so he would hug me and I completely didn't understand it. I thought that meant that he wanted me. And he
Wait,
was trying.
your therapist hugged you? Is that okay?
No, it
He
was not okay at all, but he did not he thought I just needed nurturing. He didn't do it in a way that was in his mind, he thought he was being nurturing. No, it was exactly the wrong thing to do. And then finally I got into see another therapist who was like my therapist who
yes.
really helped me. We I don't know, remember how many years I saw him, a long time. We never even shook hands, nothing, because that would confuse me. I just had to, you know, and so, uh, and had he hugged me, it would have completely confused me. But just like with friends, like, so where I teach is a low residency MFA program, Vermont College of Fine Arts, which means we get together twice a year on campus all together. And like, my students and I, we hug each other and I hug my colleagues. And that's just really cool and friendly and nice and safe and all of that.
Yeah, after your first marriage, I think 3 months in, you had an affair with an orthopedic doctor. Am I correct?
Mhm.
Yes, 3 months in, and one would think that, I've never been married, but I've had, long relationships, and I have a son, thank God. And usually in the beginning, in particular in the first 3 months, it's a bit of a honeymoon period where you can't stop holding hands. And I often look at couples on the street who are holding hands on affection, and I'll stop and I'll say, "How long have you been together?" And inevitably, it's about a month, you know. But yet, 3 months in, you had an affair. So you call it a love addiction, not a sex addiction.
Well, both. It's both. Yeah. For me, it was sort of one and the same. Um, 'Cause I use sex to look for love, so, um and yeah, I mean, the thing of it is that I didn't know how to love, so I got married just because it seemed like the thing to do, um, and but I can't say I was really in love with him. It's just I mean, he was a nice person, I had very low expectations, and, I didn't know what I mean, I should never have gotten married. I mean, and nor should he. I mean, he he never even bought me, like, a wedding ring. Like, we were just
Mm.
it was, like, a really it's just he's about 8 years older than I am, and it's just like his mother was bugging him to get married. My parents were bugging me to get married, just like we got married. And on the surface, we had a lot in common. Uh, he was in politics at the time I was in politics. We met when I worked on Capitol Hill in DC, and it just like we got married, and there was no reason we should not have got married.
It's a strange decision that we make. I've been engaged twice, and both times were highly questionable. And it was almost like it came down to, oh yeah, I guess I'll get engaged. And you actually mentioned in one of your writings or in an interview, you said you were somewhere, you were a bit inebriated, and you thought, I guess I'll get divorced. Almost like
Yeah.
speak it flippantly, right?
Yeah, so that's another essay in Selected Misdemeanours. I was like so after this man who we met in DC, and then we moved to Galveston, Texas for his job, and it was just I was a mess, it was not going well. And so there's one night he traveled a lot, he was out of town, and I'm so in Galveston, Texas, I don't know, on the seawall, there are all these seedy bars, which I loved, of course. So I was hanging out by myself
Seedy
in a
bars are
seedy
fun.
bar.
They're fun, yeah.
Yeah, and I was, like, playing, pinball machine and whatever, and I was pretty drunk, and yeah, and I just thought, "Oh, I think I'll get divorced." I mean, that is clearly not a good time to make a decision like that. It's like when you're alone in a bar in Galveston and drunk and your husband's out of town. Clearly, but I should never have married him in the first place. So it actually, in some ways, ironically, it wasn't such a bad idea to get divorced.
Right, right.
Maybe I should have made the decision right then, but clearly that marriage was not gonna go anywhere healthy. And so, yeah.
Did you feel like warning men about yourself? I often felt that way with women. I felt like I should tell them who I really am when it comes to relationships and intimacy. I'm not that great at it.
I did not, and that's because at the time of these marriages, I didn't know it. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I really didn't. I'd had these therapists, but I never even told them about my father because I didn't even know that was an issue. It was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, something happened a long time ago, and I don't think about it anymore." So I didn't know. I thought that because I kept falling in love, I thought, "Oh, I'm really good at love."
Right. It's interesting how
It's
that
like,
happens. Yes.
yeah, not so I didn't realize, and I guess in some ways, I thought maybe the men weren't right and I was fine. I mean, I had no self-awareness, let's put it
Yes.
that way,
Yes.
until I finally did get in to see this really gr he's passed away now very sadly, but this really great therapist, Randy, who I mean, he completely helped me save my life. And that's when I started understanding, oh, the problem is maybe these guys weren't that great, but the problem is me. It's not them. And I have to change myself and I have to really look at myself. And then through that therapy and then through writing is when I really came to a lot of self awareness. So, knowing what I know now, back then, yes, I would have said, hey, I'm trouble. But I didn't know I was trouble.
Yes. Uh, one of my girlfriends told me that every time things get a little rough, I emotionally shut down. And
Do
I said
you?
to her, I said, I did then. And I said to her, really? She goes, oh, yeah, you shut down all the time. And I remember thinking to myself, this is really tough. But I remember thinking as well, Sue, this is great because now I have an awareness of myself that I didn't have before, a very important one. Do you remember when you started discovering who you are?
Yes, I actually remember exactly. So that first therapist I mentioned, the one who hugged me, and that was not healthy or anything, but, he was the one after maybe a year or so of therapy, he'd gotten this brochure in the mail about, sex addiction, and he came into the session, he had this brochure, he said, "You know, Sue, I think what you're struggling with is sex addiction,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
I can't help you with that because I don't know anything about it, but I can find you someone who did." Now, most people, when they hear, "Oh, you struggling with this sex addiction," would get really depressed and upset. I was, like, thrilled just because finally I had a label. Before, it's just, "Oh, Sue, you're depressed," or "Sue, you have borderline personality. Well, we'll work on it." Well, none of that was gonna help me as long as I was acting out, which is what I was doing. So when I finally got the label, I really was thrilled, like, "Oh,
Okay.
okay, this is what it is. There's something I can work on. There are definite steps I can take." I mean, other than the 12 steps, but there are definite things I can do now. Later on, I got sort of really depressed about having the addiction.
No,
I
of
just want
course, that comes later. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like, "Can you just give me a pill and make me okay? Like, I don't wanna spend years struggling with this." I mean, really? So, I got depressed about it later, but initially, I was so relieved, and ultimately, yes, relief because that was the missing piece. I mean, that's why my life was full of these selected misdemeanors and then some big misdemeanors. So just so people listening, I just want to be clear that these misdemeanors, like I've never done anything, like I've never been in jail.
Good for you.
They're yeah,
Good
yay.
for you.
Yeah. And so they're not like in the legal sense of misdemeanors, they really are emotional misdemeanors, just to sort of clarify
Did
that.
you learn? Did you learn to enjoy sex?
Yes, it took a long time to understand kind of what it was meant. I mean, that it wasn't just a man, like I wouldn't interpret it as somebody as this is instead of love. Like, so it took a while to incorporate the act with the feeling of love.
Yes.
Yeah, to sort of, and that's what took time.
Now, with your partner, you know he loves you
Yes.
and you love him.
And I do. He's so sweet. Yes, and he knows how to cook.
Well, what is he? He knows how to cook. Well, that's good. I'm coming over for tuna tartare. What does he love about you, Sue?
He really admires my writing a lot. He sees, which is who I am. It's really a large part of my identity. That's how we met, was through my writing, actually. He reviewed my first book,
Hmm.
and that's it's a tough book, because it's growing up in this really unsafe family. And if he could really relate to that and not be scared off, that's a big thing right there. And he really, really, he gets my writing, which in many ways means he gets me. And he thinks I'm funny. He really likes my sense of humor.
He laughs at your
It's
jokes.
a little bit gallows humor, but he gets it. And so I think that those are the main things, that he really can understand me through my writing, and that's a big thing.
It is a big deal. When someone likes the creative process that I'm involved in, I feel a little less invisible, more seen, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sue William Silverman is my guest today. She's an author and a lovely human being who's very honest about who she is. She has written a number of memoirs: Because I Remember Terror, Father, I Remember You, Lovesick, One Woman's Journey Through Sexual Addiction, the Pat Boone Fan Club, My Life as a White Anglo-Saxon Jew, great title, How to Survive Death and Other Inconveniences, to say the least. One of the pieces that you wrote, one of the flash pieces that you penned, was about Forrest. He was a man that you saw outside the window, probably your father's age, if not close, and you became somewhat obsessed with him. One day, he showed you like this, that he wanted to talk to you on the phone, and I believe you held up some flowers for each number of your phone number, which is great. And he asked you, "Who do you love listening to?" You said the Beatles. He goes, "No, no, no, no. It's Frank Sinatra. You need to listen to." You never got together with Forrest. Would you see that as an unrequited love?
No, we did get together.
Oh, you did get together. Sorry. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, we had an affair that lasted probably most of my freshman year, really.
Missed that one.
And
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. And so yes, uh, he was a man. He was old enough to be my father. He was married. I mean, he's one of my big misdemeanors. Um, and I would, when his wife would go out, I would go across the street and we would have sex in his apartment. This was in Back Bay, Boston. And so it was, I was probably, if not underage, close to it. I mean, it's a big one of his misdemeanors for sure. But, it was, I'm sure, I mean, looking back on it now, of course he had a sex addiction. He probably had affairs with lots of girls in this dorm. I mean, here he is living across the street from a girl's dorm, you know? I mean, perfect place for him, right? And, I'm sure wasn't the first, I'm sure I wasn't the last,
Yes.
and, I just, but of course I thought that the way I interpreted the time was that he loved me, that I was special, and that's what I was used to, I mean, he was like my father, and my father had taught me that sex is love and love is sex, and so because Forrest, wanted me and wanted to have sex with me, I thought that meant he loved me, so I was completely obsessed with him, and the only, quote, "good part" about this is that, he's appeared in several of my books, and he's offered a lot of material to write about, and, so there's always that, um, but yeah, no, I had an affair for about a year.
What's it like to have an affair with a man who has a wife at home?
Well, at the time, because I was an addict, although I did not know I was an addict, but it was addicts are really more than any substance, addicts are addicted to risk,
Mhm.
high risk. The higher the risk, the higher the high is. So I was completely high. I mean, it was like imagine that I was just drunk all the time because I was drunk on him. And so it was like taking that risk up the ante, and so I felt, powerful, I felt in control, I felt I felt really cool, I felt great, and until I didn't. And then because what do addicts do when they get sober? They crash.
Mhm.
And so when the affair ended, I completely crashed, went into withdrawal. I mean, there are so many similarities with, saying being an alcoholic or a drug addict. I just completely crashed. And because addicts don't learn a lesson until they really hit bottom, I kept repeating the pattern on and off until finally I completely crashed and sort of, they talk about hitting bottom. I mean, I went through the bottom. I really did. And and that's when I got into, kind of serious therapy. Because I finally realized, "Oh, this isn't working," It took a lot. I mean, like, banging my head. It took a lot of pain to get I mean, pat addicts have a high tolerance for pain. We really do. It's such a scary, uh, disease, but I had a really high tolerance for pain. So finally, I just had to be in enough pain to get my attention to say, "Okay, not working. I need to do something different."
Yeah, what I find fascinating about all that is that on some level you had an awareness of yourself, right? You had to hit rock bottom, even go through the floor, as you say. But at some point in time, you were able to look at yourself and say, Sue, this is not working. I need to change.
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And I had sort of glimmers here and there, but it's just like back then, I mean, sex addiction or love addiction weren't in the in our vocabulary. I mean, that's like the most recent addiction that was sort of defined. I mean, we had, obviously started with sort of alcohol and drugs and eating disorders, stuff like that. And sex addiction wasn't really labeled as such until, oh, it would have been maybe early to mid 80s, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was later on. So, and then of course it took a while for it to sort of that label to land on me. But so there were sort of glimmers that things weren't right, but I had no who do I talk to about it? Where do I go? I mean, I did go to some therapists and they said, "Well, Sue, you're depressed." We would try antidepressants. They didn't do anything, and I stopped taking them. And it's just we would just do talk therapy about, "Oh, Sue's depressed," but that was not gonna work work because basically I was still, quote, "drunk." I was coming there sort of I could have been having sex with a man the night before I came to therapy, so I would sort of show up drunk.
Yeah, I remember when I first went to my first therapist, he asked me why I was there, which is the question they ask.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. Like I have no idea what's happened to me. I don't know. I can't see it. It was very unsafe in my home as well, and there was a lot of terror and a lot of shouting and yelling. My father did not treat me well as a son, but I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it. I actually said to him,
Yeah.
"I don't know what happened, and I want to know what happened."
And see, that is such a courageous step that you took
Mhm.
because it's just getting in that door and at least just saying, "Something's wrong." I mean, just asking saying the word "help" is huge, and it's a real act of courage just to open a door or make a phone call and say, "Help."
Yes.
That's the first step, and you've gotta take that, and so many people do not take that first step, and they're just still kind of flailing. I
Yes.
mean, like this man Forrest, I know he never got help. I mean, we lost touch, of course, but I know that, he was already, like, in his 40s or something, maybe close to 50 when I met him, I can't remember exactly, but I know that he never got help, and that's so sad because then you just die never knowing yourself,
Yes.
never knowing what your life meant. It's just sad.
What was your mom like?
Checked out. But well, checked out around the things she didn't wanna see, but also sort of, um, enmeshed with me. Um she had no good boundaries, so she sort of would go from one to the other. She'd be sick a lot, but I think she would say it was some physical illness, and it probably did manifest physically, but she was depressed, checked out, depressed, lost, she didn't know she was dependent on my father financially, just sad.
What was nice about her?
She's a very good painter. She did these beautiful watercolors, and so she had this beautiful creative streak. And I'll say something nice about both my parents is that they were both, where the large world is concerned, they're very empathetic.
Mhm.
Like they were in the forefront of the civil rights movement back way at the beginning. They believed in, civil rights and activism. And so they felt a lot of compassion for the world at large, for the downtrodden, for the world at large, but they couldn't quite carry that over to the individual family. But they taught me really good values around that.
Do you forgive them both?
Forgive is a tough word for me. Let me say that I do not forgive what they did to me because I think, uh harming a child is a human rights violation, and I can't forgive that. But what I do forgive, or what I let me say what I love, is when I think of my parents as little kids and the things that happened to them, and I love the young part of them, who they were when they were children. That's what I've learned to love.
And
Even
you can distinguish between the two.
Yeah, obviously, I didn't know them when they were kids,
Yeah.
but, but imagining what they were like, and I know some of what their background is, and yeah, and I that's how I've learned to kind of love that, and that's the best I can do.
Do you believe in God?
No, I believe in not like a as like an entity. I think I'm a spiritual person. I believe in the written word. And that's my spirituality is the written word and what we can create with that.
Yeah, I have a writers club that I started up with very accomplished novelists. Perhaps you can be a guest at one of our
I'd
sessions.
love to. Yes, yes.
One of the members of it, Brian Prowski, who's written, I think, 8 novels and poetry, and which you've written as well. I say, "What's your motivation to write, Brian?" He says, "I really love creating beautiful sentences."
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by the spiritualities within the beautiful sentences?
Yes, it's the beautiful sentences, but what they evoke emotionally, finding the metaphors. I guess in some ways I might even say that metaphor is my higher power. My
That's
students
interesting.
call
Just
me
a little bit. Yeah.
my students call me the queen of metaphor because I'm always talking metaphor, metaphor, where are your metaphors? And so in some ways, metaphor may be kind of my higher power. So I believe that there is like this life force. I definitely believe in a life force. I think we all have to find it within ourselves, and how I have found it, and it's just like sort of a major miracle, not even a minor miracle, that I was able to find writing and be able to write these books and then be able to teach, because I could have, when I think of all the alternatives of what my life could have, I mean, it's scary to think about, the things that I could have been, like nothing, basically, like a homeless person, I don't know, just never having found something that is meaningful. That's really scary, and so I feel that that kind of strength that I somehow, even that somehow within myself when I was a little girl, that somehow I had this tiny little seed of strength, creative strength that was never damaged, that was somehow I was able to keep safe until I grew up and found this therapy and found writing. And then that little seed was able to sprout, and sort of that's sort of a cliche. But I do think that that's sort of what happened. And so I think that we have to find our spirituality really within ourselves rather than something out there, that we have to nurture ourselves, find that strength, find our creativity, and not necessarily in an artistic sense, but whatever your life's work is going to be, that's sort of your creativity, so that you can make your contribution to the universe.
Why did you have that seed and some kids who go homeless and die on the streets don't?
That is a mystery that I honestly don't know. I really don't know the answer to that, because, yeah, why me? So, I mean, and yes, I had all these misdemeanors for years and years, but that seed never went away, and it did keep me alive. It totally kept me alive, and all I can think is that I had this strength. Well, I could also say I'm a very stubborn person.
Yeah.
I mean, I should say that I wrote for 10 years before I published my first
You
book.
were
I mean,
saying you hated those novels.
yeah, they're terrible. They're
Yeah.
absolutely awful.
You
Ugh.
said, "Thank God they were never published,"
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I wouldn't want anybody to read them. But yet I'm grateful for them because they did teach me how to write. I mean,
Yeah.
I was paying my dues. I was learning how to write. So I don't consider it wasted. So, yes, so that's part of my stubbornness. So I think even as a kid, I did have this streak of stubbornness that just like that not that I would have thought this, but just felt it in some ways, that I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find me, basically.
Do you attribute any of your positive character traits to your parents?
Well, they were both creative. I mean, my father, I mean, he was in government and a banker, to earn his living and everything. But he did sculpting. I mean, he was a pretty good sculptor. And my mother really was a pretty good painter. So they both did have a creative streak to them. And so yes, I could say that probably I got some of that from
So
them.
that wasn't really my question. It was
Oh,
more, no, it's okay. That it was more the stubbornness inside of you, that seed that allowed you to live. Do you attribute that to them at all?
oh, no,
Okay.
I really don't. I can't see that. Maybe come back in a month and ask me after
Okay.
I've
We'll
thought
do
of
it
it.
again in a month. Yes.
But
How old are you inside, Sue?
um, it depends upon the day. Sometimes I really do feel like I'm 16
Yes.
when I just, like I was a hippie flower child, and I still like, maybe 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, I was in my 20s then. But so sort of in that range. I don't have any children. In many ways, I can't claim to feel like that I really feel adult. In that I don't know how to cook. The thought of having had kids is terrifying to me. I mean, I could never do that.
Yes.
Um, and there are a lot of, but yet I can teach. I mean, I'm actually co-chair of my MFA program. I mean, I know how to be very professional, which is adult. But some of the things like cooking and cleaning, like, I just don't see dirt, so there's nothing to clean.
Right.
"Oh, I have to eat dinner, really?"
Really?
Um, so, yeah, I would say that, but yet when it comes to my profession, I am an adult.
I want to read something to you that you wrote. It's called childcare, and I'd like you to define it for us, please. Before I read it, what's it like for you to hear your own words from somebody else?
It's actually sorta cool
Is
because
it?
I don't usually hear have that opportunity, and it's nice to hear somebody else's, like, interpretation, the way they hear it. No, I like it. You in
Okay.
fact, you can get my next reading for me.
Thank you. I'll be there as long as there's cake. A boy shows me his penis. Another boy hurls a sharp knife across the room at his sister. Bad aim, though. My sister bakes me cream puff pastries for breakfast. I brush my teeth with my father's shaving cream. A baby dies in her crib. My sister spends hours alone with the Anglican priest. A boy dismembers animals. I dump mounds of sand in my hair so I can spend hours picking it out, grain by grain. Our skin crisp in tropical sun, hot, red, dangerous. I'm run over by a bicyclist and sit dazed, alone in the street, bleeding. Infected mosquito bites tattoo our legs. A boy in a parachute is swept out to sea, trade winds blowing in the wrong direction. The rest of us are swept into the future without any parachute at all. What's the undercurrent here? What are you saying?
That childhood is risky and scary and frequently, too frequently, so that takes place where I lived in the West Indies in St. Thomas, and, my friends, all the friends that I write about there, all of our parents were just absent. They were just it's like nobody was watching us, and, so it's about the danger of childhood and that this one boy, he is swept out to sea, and the rest of us, even if we survive childhood, we move forward without a parachute, without any like safety net, and we're just sort of, okay, you're cast out, you know, do the best you can or not, and so we're not given the tools or the emotional tools to learn how to take care of ourselves.
Are you a scaredy cat?
About some things, other things, I'm maybe too brave.
Like what?
Well, like having that affair with Forrest, that's too brave.
Yes.
I mean, I should have been more scared, right? And so but now I have better tools to take care of myself. So if I see, because I still have the radar for dangerous men. If I'm at a party or something, I know who they are, and I know, "Okay, you walk in the opposite direction." So, they don't scare me, but because I now know how to take care of myself.
It's kind of interesting what you're saying. Project it back on myself, which we do quite often. One of the reasons that I interview and I adore it, and I've been doing it for many years, is because I'm inordinately curious. And I am for two reasons. Number one is I'm constantly trying to figure out who I am. And it's a very slow process with me because of the abuse that I went through. And therefore, I learn from others. In other words, when you speak about your life, who you are, I bring it back into me and I think to myself, okay, where am I in all of this? Right? Where am I in all of this? The other reason that I question so much, and people who are very close to me, they'll often ask me, my son will say to me, okay, daddy, we're going into the store. Please do not speak to the cashier and everybody else working there. And I have to commit to that, as difficult it is. But um, I need to scout out the room, right? I need to know, like you're saying, I need to know who's in that room. And I do that by gathering knowledge of who they are. Does that resonate? That resonates with you?
Yes, because, what you're talking about then are personal narratives. And what else do we have in this world but personal narratives?
Right.
To me, that is why creative nonfiction is so important, or art altogether is so important. Because over the decades, wars come and go, politicians come and go, things just whatever comes and goes, the economy comes and goes. What do we have left? We have personal narratives, and those personal narratives are how we make connections with each other. I mean, why do we still look at ancient Greek sculpture? It resonates with us. That's what lasts. Art lasts. And so to connect with other people, to hear their stories, their narratives, that's that's the human condition. What else really, what else is there?
Do you know why you're on this earth?
To write.
And therefore what?
To write, to make these connections, to help other people. I get so many emails from women, mainly women, who thank me for telling their story too.
Mhm.
Like, I'm have a voice. I'm really grateful I have one. So many people don't. But by putting my art out in the world, so many people relate to my story, even if it's not the surface story they relate to the underlying themes of loss, loneliness, alienation, search for love. That's why my readers read my books. And that is giving them hope. And by them, connecting with me and emailing me or sending me connecting with me in some way, that gives me hope. So we sort of empower each other. But I think that that's that's what I represent. That is my reason for being here, is to be a writer. And
You live to give?
yes, but it's not, but I also live, to understand myself. I mean, I have to say when I first start writing something, I am writing for myself, to understand myself. But by understanding myself is also making me a better person, so
Yes.
that when I go out into the world, I can be a more whole, complete, empathetic person. So that's the first thing I do. I write for myself to understand myself. Then when the book is done and I put it out into the world, then yes, here is my gift to you.
Do you take well from your partner?
Yes, actually, I do. I do. He's a writer as well, and, so he's a good first reader,
Yes.
and I love that he can help me, like, say, "Nah, Sue, that's not there yet, go back, you need another 10 revisions or something."
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll go." I trust him. I trust his feedback,
You'll be
and
vulnerable with him? Would you cry with him?
oh, yeah, he's
Yes.
seen a lot of tears.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I do feel safe enough, and there are a lot of people who I would not feel safe enough to cry in front of, but I am able to cry in front of him because I know that he never uses anything against me,
Right.
like, "Oh, she's
People do.
vulnerable."
Yes.
Yeah, he's not like that. He's so giving and loving.
Is he an anomaly?
He is. Yeah, it's, like, amazing that I found him or he found
Where
me.
did you find him?
Well, so he reviewed my first book.
You were saying yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I was giving a reading, and he came to the reading, and that's where we met, and but we didn't, after that, we sort of didn't get in touch for about a year after that. I was sort of going through a divorce. I was, like, done with all of that, and then about a year later, I was giving another reading someplace else, and he came to that, and then I looked at him, and he sorta looked at me, and I suddenly, "Oh, you're my person."
You really? That's lovely.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, bam, I knew it.
How was the first kiss?
It was very sweet. It
Was
was sweet, and, and if I had met him, like, say, 10 years before that, I wouldn't have noticed him at all because he was not dangerous. He
yeah.
was kind and gentle and caring, and I would have found that boring.
Wow, that is great. That is great how much you grew, Sue.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you,
Oh, I
thank
am.
you.
I am. It's so you don't see a lot of growth in a lot of people, you know. But when you meet it head on, it looks so absolutely stunning.
Thank you. You're such a good interviewer. I mean, listen, I've shared more with you than I do in most interviews because you're very easy to talk to.
Thank you.
And I really and it I appreciate that because I like interviews like this where, like, you're not afraid to hear the answers, you know?
Not at all. My goal with you is to have an affair with you for an hour, and that means that we're open with one another and we're honest. And I think it's extraordinarily. You're being very forthright and you're being very authentic, and therefore I feel an obligation to be authentic myself as much as possible So I tell you about my father. I tell you about my background. I think I owe it to you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I trust you. I mean, that's why I've
Thanks.
been able to talk to you. I sorta yeah, I told you I watch some of your other podcasts. I like to get a feel for the shows before I come on them, and I actually started trusting you even before ours interview began because you just seem very, um, sorta calm, but considerate and open, and you're a really good listener,
Thank you.
and so I was really looking forward to today.
Yeah, I was too. I really was. Can I read another piece of yours?
I love it.
It's called Retainer. My twisted tooth twists my mouth, twists my smile, twists my face, twists my head until I don't know if I see myself front, back, or sideways. You have such a fertile imagination, you do. My tooth twists because I can't wear my retainer at night, of course. It's a molded piece of plastic wired designed to straighten teeth, but it fills my mouth with muteness. My words are those I can't speak anyway, the way my father instead nightly fills my mouth with his own twisted language of love, a love too untranslatable, with its own urgent verb, or are they nouns? That will be with me, fucking forever. What are you telling us here?
That growing up, I was mute. I mean, so the retainer in this essay, the retainer is a metaphor for being mute, for not being able to speak and tell my truth. Because, as is common in families where there's abuse, it's the family secret and you're not allowed to tell anybody. So I didn't tell anybody for years and years and years. And so yeah, so I was mute. There was my mouth was like sealed shut with this retainer. And then finally, one day I took the retainer out and I could speak.
And when you speak in front of your students, are you full of effervescence? Are you there? You're
Y
present?
Very.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. Yeah, I really am. Yeah, the students, I love our students um, and I'm able to and where I teach, it's really a lovely, community of writers, Vermont College of Fine Arts. It's this lovely community of writers, and, we're very collegial and it's a very safe place to be,
Yes.
and so, as soon as I get to campus, I feel, safe, and faculty, we give readings and stuff, and I can read. Yeah, I don't second guess what I read. I know my students can hear, like, pretty much any essay in the book here and would be okay. So, and then we give lectures and, yeah, I, like, interact and engage with my students a lot, and and I think they get me, and, yeah, I develop very close relationships with my students, appropriate relationships.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, but we really do. I'm still in touch with I started teaching there in 2002. I'm still in touch with students from my first semester.
Is it an ageless environment?
Yeah, it is because, we have students from, like, about 23 to 85.
Yes. Yes. What are the 85-year-olds like?
Really cool.
Are
I
they?
mean, yeah, they've had a career. They've usually been successful in some other we've had, like, retired doctors, we have retired, psychologists, we have retired scientists, we have retired lawyers, um and some, are women who stayed at home to raise their family, and now it's their turn, and they want to come and do something for themselves. But, they have all this life experience, and so they're ready to write. They are really dedicated, and they're great. I love them.
Well,
But the younger students too, they're finding their way in the world. So it's a different I approach each student sort of I meet them where they're at, like, "What do you need from me?" So the ones who are just starting out in the world are a little tentative, so I can help them sort of share my courage with them, So it's a really great teaching and learning environment.
are you an amazing teacher?
Oh, you're asking y you know what? Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Good for you, Sue. Good for you.
It's hard to
What makes you amazing?
um, it's not just a matter of knowing the craft. but I've written a couple of craft books, but part of it really is being empathetic and being able to listen. I mean, isn't listening a lost art form, right? So I can listen to students and really hear what do you really need from me? And I can, so I know how to listen to them, and I think I'm able to give them what they need. And if I have a misstep, so we have a phone call and we clear anything up, so I'm not scared to say, "Oh, I think I sort of messed up here and I didn't explain this as well as I should have. Can we talk about it?" So we do. So I'm not afraid to admit when I make a mistake or I don't maybe, handle a student, essay as well as I might. And, so I think the students appreciate that. I think they appreciate the fact that I confess to all of my misdemeanors.
So you let them know who you are.
Oh, yes, they do. Plus my books let them. I mean,
Yes,
there's
it's out
you
there.
sort of can't hide, this is me, so I've had this life and yeah. So yes, they absolutely know, but I think that they appreciate that I've written tough subjects because it does help give them permission as well.
Do you like animals?
Yes, I love animals. Of late, I am completely obsessed with elephant videos that come up on my Facebook
Yes,
page.
yes.
I am obsessed with them. Out of nowhere, these elephant videos. I mean, I'm not gonna go off to Africa because, like, I'm not that kind of a safari person, but, I wear pink shoes, so that tells you all you need to know about me and African safaris. But I absolutely adore them. I mean, they're so cute. I mean, they're big and everything. They're adorable. But yes, I've had cats. Sadly, right now, my cats both. I had two most recent ones. They both died during COVID.
I'm sorry.
Um, so right now I don't have a cat, but I've had like four cats and a couple of dogs. But yes, I'm definitely an animal person.
Do you think that's because you went through abuse?
Yes, I think that so the cats that I've had have all been abandoned cats. And I feel and taking them in, just, like, offering them a safe home
Yes.
is really meaningful to me. Like, I've never gone and, like, bought a cat in a store or something. I just they've all they sort of find me actually, which is sort of interesting.
Right, I hear you. In conclusion, I have something I want to read to you in a moment, but something that you just said made me think about my own life in terms of you're a very sweet person.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a very nice character, very generous of spirit. Do you think to yourself still today, God, I was such a beautiful little girl. Why didn't they see that? And I ask you that because I still ask myself that question.
I look at myself and like, the cover of my first book has a picture of me as a little kid, and, um, and I try to just love her myself and just know that my parents were too unwell to see that little girl. They just couldn't see her, and there's nothing I can do to change that. There's
Mhm,
just
mhm,
that's just gone,
mhm.
and so all I can do is, the whole concept of the inner child,
Yes.
all I can do is love her and try to take care of her as best I can, and I can see her, and I think that um and people who love me can see her, like, my therapist could see her, and, um, and I think that's where I sort of end up is that they just couldn't they were just too unhealthy, and I can't keep mourning that. I
Yes.
have to let that go and just know that what I have now is, more than good enough in a way. I mean, I'm really, um because I'm so stubborn and I didn't give up and I knew I had to do something with this one life that I was given. I had to do something. And I found my path. And the thing that just amazes me, if my father had not hurt me, I wouldn't be a writer. I don't know what I would have been, but I wouldn't be a writer. So does that mean that I'm glad he did what he did to me? I can't say that, but I am glad that I am a writer and that I'm a teacher and that this is my life. I mean, I really do value my life and I care about
Yes.
my life. And so it's sort of an odd conundrum that where you end up with that. But look at you. I mean, what the good that you're doing. I
Mhm.
mean, you can facilitate this through your podcast, the ability for your guests to share their stories with the world and your own story as well. And so think about the gifts that you're giving. And that's the important thing to remember is like, what can we do now to make the world a safer place?
Yeah, no, I live for one thing and one thing only, and that is honestly to encourage other people to feel great about themselves.
And you do a really good job at it.
Thank
You
you.
do.
Thank you.
I've heard, I mean, hearing all these compliments about myself has been like, "Oh, really? He thinks that?" I mean, it's been really cool, but, it sort of shakes you up a little bit, but in a good way. And
That's
I'm so appreciative of you in this interview. I really am.
that's what I meant before when I said my goal is to have an affair with you for an hour, not in a lascivious way,
Oh,
but in a
yeah.
way where we really connect, and I feel like we really have connected.
Absolutely. No, that's I knew you meant it that way, and yes, I think we really have connected. I
Yes.
mean, this really is, I mean, I've loved talking to you. This
Thank you,
has
Sue.
just been one of the best interviews ever.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been playing around with AI a lot, and over the last few months, I've asked it to write poems about my guest. So I have an ode to Sue William Silverman,
Oh my goodness.
an ode to, and remember, this is by AI, and you were a writer, so I'm way out on a limb here. Sue hurls her sentences like sparks, word grenades against forgetfulness, shattering the silence of a life too easily filed away. A family vacation fractures not just sand, but fissures in trust. Chippendale sequin gestures flash like mirrors on hidden wounds. Pac-Man chomps the ghost of failed loves. Whiskey burns its own arcade glow. Movies promise Rome, yet deliver only the melodrama of a heart rehearsing itself again and again. Each essay a match struck in the dark corridors of memory, each moment fleeting, yet a stone skipped across time, sending ripples into tsunamis. Her words do not repent, they dare, they flare. Minimalist in length, maximalist in pulse, unafraid of the shrapnel truth leaves behind. Sue writes to remember, but more to remind us how the smallest gestures, the overlooked misdemeanors of life, can fracture, can ignite, and finally they can illuminate.
Obviously, they lifted some of the words from
That's
the
the idea. Yes.
but that said, that's pretty good. That's a little scary that that's good.
It's scary as shit, isn't
It is. Oh
it?
my goodness.
I know. I know. I agree with you. Listen, the responses I get are mostly, whoa, really? Please send that to me. And then from time to time, I had an ambassador whom I interviewed from Canada to the UN say, well, that's very vapid. It's written by a computer, And I said, okay, yeah. I'm just
No,
fascinated by where we're at, what we've produced, and what the future holds for us. I'm blown away by it. Absolutely blown away by it.
yeah. No, I would love it if you would send that to me. I mean,
I
I'd
will.
like
I
to
will.
sort of read it on the page. Yeah, thank you.
I will. I will. Um, in conclusion, as I said at the top of the show, I asked my viewers and my listeners to take out from the interview something that is appropriate for them that they can learn from. And because the whole idea behind my show is to pay homage to humankind and to do that through inspirational interviews and to help people grow. So let me flip it over to you, Sue William Silverman. If there's one piece in here that you would really like those who are listening to this interview and watching it to take out of it about your life, what would it be?
You mean like a specific essay or
Yeah, so
just
let's say 100 people are sitting in front of us. Someone puts up their hand. They say, "Excuse me, excuse me. What should I take out of your words over the last hour?"
I think what you should take out of it is the fact that we are all human, that even though I've written about my misdemeanors, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It means that I'm willing to look at my truth and myself. And so I think what I would like for anybody listening to take out of this is to not be scared to look at yourself. I mean, nobody is perfect, and it's being human is sort of embracing our good parts as well as maybe our parts that might be a little scary, might be a little bit underdeveloped, might be a little unhealthy, but to embrace those as well and see some of those can be fixed or looked at, developed, and but just to kind of learn to love all of yourself, to see all of yourself.
When I said to you about 45 minutes ago, when I started reading your stuff, I didn't like you at first. Did you have a visceral response to that?
I felt sad.
You did feel sad?
Yeah, I did, because not because I just think everybody should love me because
Yes,
obviously that's
of
not
course.
the good, but, but yet when you hear it, um, then yeah, I did like, I didn't feel angry or anything, but I felt sad, and, I wanted to, see if you could change your opinion of me.
Well, I owe you a compliment, really, and I owe you appreciation for the fact that you are so out there and that you're so honest, because I think that that is lacking to a large extent in our society. And you put yourself out there in a way that most writers don't. And that takes a lot of guts. And when I'm reading it, I told you before, I remind myself about my foibles, my mistakes, my misdemeanors, of which I have a plethora.
We all do.
We all
I
do.
mean,
And if we could really see each other in the very true light of, oh, yes, he's a very good man. He's generous of spirit. Sue's a fine human being, but she's made mistakes, some of which are very, very difficult and challenging ones, as Avram has. I think it would be much more balanced world if we saw each other that way.
exactly. I mean, I think first we have to see ourselves that way, to really look in within and see, who we are ourselves, and then we can, turn outward, and so whatever our foibles are, people can see them, but not to use them against
Yeah,
people.
yes, which is key, which is what you were saying about your partner before. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel great warmth for you, and I feel love.
Thank
And I
you.
want to thank you so much for doing this. You're really worthwhile getting to know, and I thank you very much for your time and for your courage and bravery. It's really, really does a lot for our world. So thank you very much for being with me.
Well, and thank you for hearing me. That means everything to me. It really
Absolutely.
does. So, great gratitude towards you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. As we say in Yiddish, sei gesund. Do you know Yiddish at all, Sue?
I know that phrase.
Right, which means go in good health.
Yeah.
And until we meet again, thank you, Sue William Silverman. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.